lose its church in one sudden blaze of history. There was no single night when the lamps went out. Instead, the story of the Ephesus church is one of a great city slowly becoming harder to live in, harder to reach, and eventually almost empty. In the 1st century AD, Ephesus was one of the most important cities in Roman Asia Minor, located near modern-day Selçuk in Turkey. It was a wealthy port, a bustling crossroads of trade, religion, and politics, and it was famous across the ancient world for the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders. Into this world came Christianity. According to the New Testament, the Apostle Paul spent roughly 2 to 3 years in Ephesus, preaching, teaching, and building a community. Acts 19 describes the tension his message created, especially among craftsmen whose livelihoods were tied to the worship of Artemis, a reminder of how deeply religion and economics were connected in the ancient city. Ephesus also became associated with the Apostle John, who tradition says lived there, and the Virgin Mary, whose nearby house remains a pilgrimage site today. The city's biblical importance is also tied to the book of Revelation, where Ephesus is named as one of the 7 churches. While praised for its hard work, perseverance, and resistance to false teaching, the church was warned that it had abandoned its first love. The passage warned that its lampstand could be removed if it did not repent. Yet, the Christian community in Ephesus continued for centuries. By the 5th century, it was still a major Christian center. In 431 AD, it hosted the Council of Ephesus, which affirmed Mary as Theotokos, or God-bearer. In the 6th century, Emperor Justinian built the Grand Basilica of St. John over the Apostles' traditional burial place. Ephesus was not fading, it was actively shaping Christian history. So what changed? The primary cause was not a battle, but a river. The Cayster River carried silt into the harbor. Over centuries, this silt choked the port that made Ephesus rich. Despite efforts to dredge it, nature won. Ships could no longer reach the city, trade declined, and wealth moved elsewhere. A port city without a port loses its reason to exist. Other pressures worsened the decline. Earthquakes, Gothic attacks, Arab raids, and later Turkish advances disrupted life. As Constantinople rose, Ephesus grew less central. The population gradually shifted to nearby Aya Suluk, now Selçuk. By the 15th century, the ancient city was largely abandoned. The end of the Ephesus church was a long, quiet unraveling of environmental change, economic collapse, and shifting power. The church faded because the city that sustained it faded. Today, visitors can walk among ruins like the Church of Mary and the Basilica of St. John. What remains is not an active community, but a layered landscape of memory. Ephesus reminds us that history often ends quietly, not with a dramatic fall, but with a harbor filling with silt, a marketplace growing silent, and a community carrying its faith elsewhere. Past with Mystic Lamb publishing stories, symbols, and history brought to life. For more historical content, follow, like, and subscribe.